Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Welcome back to Burnt Up. I'm here with Mr. Bumquist, and I am Format Entity.
Up?
Hey, it's good to have you. Sound quality might not be as good as normal, considering I've actually got you on a phone call instead of Skyped.
Yeah,
in.
we're like Google Talk to cell phone today.
You get I hear you're getting actually some lag too on that.
Yeah, it's all right, man. Get to hear myself talk.
Yeah, it's not
better
the
than
most,
the voices in my head thing.
Right, it's not the most intuitive piece of technology right now, but
yeah, it's all right.
Either way, we're here back for another episode 2, and this episode's called Robots. We were playing around through some of the steampunk stuff in episode 4 of the title Unknown, and we came across Dr. Steele. He's a steampunk musician. He plays a lot of the fun, clanky, robotic type music and everything, and he actually has a interview out there on the YouTubes, and the interview talks about robots.
On the interwebs.
On the interwebs and the YouTubes. So I want to start off and just play this. Let him run. I think he only talks for about a minute, so let's hear
a little bit more than that, but it's entertaining.
Yeah. Let's hear what Mr. Dr. Steele has to say.
Robots have always been a big part of my life. They are a big part of many people's lives. The world is becoming more and more dependent on technology. Robots will continue to become increasingly indispensable in the world as we continue to develop various forms of artificial life, from nanotechnology to giant building-destroying robots of doom. I am convinced that the human race is simply an evolutionary stepping stone towards electronic life. I truly believe that machines will inherit the Earth. I mean, after all, let's look at what we're doing to our own environment. Contaminating our water, destroying our air and food supply. What other life form destroys the place in which it lives? It's counterproductive. Unless that's simply part of the plan. We continually manufacture and develop more and more technology without first asking the question, should we do this? We simply barrel ahead and create. And what we're creating is an environment where the only thing that will be fit to survive is a machine. Humans are flawed, and this will be our step up. Then, of course, after thousands upon thousands of years run by machines, something will go wrong. The machines will break down and fail, rust and rot. And through the rot, organic life will emerge once again, and the whole thing will start over. That's if we don't successfully blow ourselves up first. We'll just be tiny bits floating through space, which is fine too.
Which is fine too.
Robots of doom.
So he's got the robots
of doom.
Robots of doom. Now, oddly, with what he says, I get it, it's a gimmick for his little music thing, but...
There's people that actually believe this, though.
Well, it's not even a matter of whether or not we believe it. It actually touches on a couple of things that we talked about in episode 1 of Burnt Up, where we're not learning enough about what we're doing here, we're wasting everything here, and we're trying to get to another planet to do it there.
Yeah.
You can take some of that knowledge and apply that to this robotic situation. He even jokingly, he's kind of right.
Without asking the question, should we?
Right, without asking the question. Look at what we're doing. You go back to 1984, and what did phones look like? What did TVs look like? Hell, what did your microwave look like?
Microwave? In 84?
Exactly.
No, I have actually, a little bit off topic. I actually have a problem with the microwave. This is a little bit of a sore subject for me. Now, the microwave, I remember back in the day, you know, used to have a dial turner, and remember phones were radio dial. I remember that. But the actual technology behind a microwave really hasn't progressed since it used to have a dial.
No, we get like touch buttons.
Yeah, we get the touch buttons. You know, it's digital. That's fine. But the actual microwave itself hasn't, like, grown. I mean, it should be able to, I'm thinking,
don't fix it.
Well, it's fine to have the microwave, but over the course of of its existence, you know, it hasn't, like, changed, you know.
A little bit. I mean,
feel,
you can put metal in some of them.
Yeah, actually, I was a little surprised by that. My son left a fork in there warming up.
The first time I saw that in a store, I was like, why are they selling you a ticking time bomb?
I didn't read it or anything, but he left a fork in there, and the microwave's on, and I happened to have been walking by, and I look in there, the light's on, and I see a fork, and I'm like, oh my God! Wait, nothing's happening. Why is nothing?
You can do that, some of them come with like those metal racks.
I still opened it up and took the fork out and restarted it and everything.
Yeah,
but
I still don't put stuff in my microwave. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, there's no way.
I got this little microwave, and it does the job of what the old, big, clunky ones used to do. So I mean, I guess we did make them a little bit better, but...
Well, yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that I imagine, you know, that this microwave, I shouldn't even have to put in a time. It should be able to detect the temperature of what's in it, heat it evenly, just redistribute whatever areas it needs. I shouldn't get a frozen burrito out of a microwave that's still frozen in the middle anymore. That shit shouldn't happen anymore.
No, it shouldn't happen anymore. I agree. But at the same time, that's kind of what Mr. Robot Steel guy there is kind of talking about. We're so dependent on them, and not just microwaves, obviously, but anything robotic, digital, electronic, that when we get to like the point of we have this is so cool, now we need to figure out something that's better that eliminates these two simple things that we had to do.
The frozen burrito.
You know, like, it's a burrito, dude. You don't have 2 minutes for it, man. It needs to be done in 30 seconds.
30 seconds, really, and not frozen in the middle. I shouldn't even have to type in 30. It should know it's done.
Or you could just go to Taco Bell and it's hot already.
Oh, God. So yeah, back to Mr. Robot, and so machines inheriting the Earth.
I truly believe that machines,
like I said, I kind of agree with them. In the stupidest way, that whole Terminator Skynet thing,
it
could kind of happen.
I mean, we're turning
it only
over
takes, like,
control.
One deranged scientist guy to just program a computer to destroy something, and then it keeps going and going and going and going.
And I'm like I'm willing to turn over the control of cooking my food to a computer. I mean, a lot of people are willing to give up control of a lot of menial tasks, but
well, we do it in the auto industry,
right? So we
took what hardworking people used to do very well and gave it to a robot, and that guy lost his job, and then 6 months later they were like, well, maybe he can fix the robot when it breaks it. This doesn't make sense.
So with the possibility, all right, so here's another thing I heard, and I think it came from another podcast, Radio Lab or something. They were talking about, this guy wrote a book that's What Does Technology Want? And he was talking about how, again, just kind of like the way Dr. Steele said, is that we are just a part of the evolution of robotics and technology. Is that, you know, we are creating things that make them work better. You know, I'm not doing this argument any justice. I'm trying to remember how he said it.
I don't really think that there's much of an argument, though.
Yeah,
it's a matter of, do you disagree with this guy? Even though it's a joke and it's a little gimmick for his band,
I can see where this idea comes from, because like I said, a lot of people believe this. You know, that you know, it is inevitable. The robot apocalypse is one of the most trending things of sci-fi, of iRobot and several others.
For sure. I mean, the premise of the show doesn't have to be you disagreeing with me. It's a matter of whether or not we think this can happen, and does it agitate us? And absolutely it agitates us.
Yeah.
To think that something human created would eventually just dominate humans, that's kind of shitty.
But we got the laws of robotics. We're fine. We got that covered.
Oh yeah, we're totally fine.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, no, nothing to worry about there.
What was the other thing? The possible robot, the possibility of a robot takeover, apocalypse, or anything. What's the main thing that you envision in that scenario? It's like, you know, humanoid type robots.
Well, no, not necessarily. I think I see the whole Terminator Skynet thing more than I see like RoboCop.
Really? So more of like the well, what about like computer-operated vehicles? You know, that
well, definitely, but that would
the Google car.
That could be something as simple as like, well, let me just keep the frame of the Terminator thing here. So you have your T-1000 out there with a gun shooting up humans, killing things, but within the T-1000 is a program controlling 6 Land Rover vehicles that are somewhere else blowing other shit up. It's not like it couldn't be done. I mean, hell, right now they're working on this jetpack thing for missiles that literally can get a missile from here to anywhere in the world in an hour or less. 3,000 some odd miles an hour.
Is that like traveling up into space, or it's
no,
like in our atmosphere?
It doesn't even have to leave the atmosphere to do it.
That's nuts. Because you need a missile
not for
in
nuts.
an
They
hour
haven't really
or less.
been very successful. But I think they have one of the prototypes left, and that one should go up soon for testing. But you know, even if they fail at these, more tax dollars come out and we figure it out.
Why don't they use that
And it's not to,
technology
like,
for
make something that
UPS
gets
or
the
something? I
people
mean, I'd
over
rather get
somewhere
my shipment. I'd rather order on Amazon and get it in an hour or less.
Yeah, but that's not what they're designing it for.
I know, but
they're not designing it for
what do you
us
need
to
a
get
missile in
something
an hour
better
or less?
for us to like fly to Japan faster. They're getting it so we can launch missiles faster. You know, here we have this intelligence to do something, and because we're humans and all we know how to do is break shit, we make it to destroy things.
So with the Skynet, with the Skynet, with the overseeing network, you know, so we're gonna have self-driving cars. I mean, so far they've been operating in San Francisco.
Well, they're working on some of that now. We got those cars that park themselves.
Yeah, the auto park, but there's the Google car has been driving around that without it's been driving on its own.
They've been working on that one for a while.
It's got its own license, like a license to drive and everything, but somebody has to be in it all the time.
Somebody has to be in it, but nobody is in there doing anything. So you have that step right there where it's already doing it, and somebody's there basically for maintenance.
Right, and
so
to be able
once
to
they figure that out, now they won't need that person in there for maintenance.
Right.
So you mean to tell me that in no shape, way, or form can you see robots taking over?
Well, then there's the Google glasses. So they're working on a heads-up display, wearable computing. You'd have GPS and you'd have stuff that you'd learn to rely on. You'd have a heads-up display, pretty much. You'd have your vehicle. It's all compatible. The vehicle will be able to drive yourself. And so instead of Skynet's GoogleNet, you know, Google's already pretty dominant in a lot of the networking areas. So worst case, for argument's sake,
Google is Skynet.
Right. So worst case scenario, we get a GPS direction on our glasses that make us make a left into traffic or make us trip down some stairs. So people will be dying from walking in front of a vehicle, maybe, or the vehicles are driving off the cliff or getting into accidents.
No.
But there's still going to be people that don't wear it.
There's the auto response where the car that's not being driven by a human sees the human and stops. So we start with these glasses, and then, 10 years from now, it's not glasses, it's contacts.
Mm-hmm.
And then after contacts, it's a tiny little microscopic thing that they just kind of put in you.
Yep. But then that's what
the
goes
progression.
wrong. Is that little thing is what goes wrong. It's not like a
That
physical
little
robot.
thing is what can trigger that whole robotic overlord,
Right.
take over the world thing.
Take over the world. So now in that scenario, there's not a big physical robot that's going to beat your brains out. That's not what the
well, there
war is
might
about.
be
There might be some of
bots
those
out there
of
that are
course.
controlled by other computers and whatnot.
But
for sure, if there's a war,
our internal computing, let's say I lost my arm and I have a robotic arm now, and whatever the command.
who's to say that robotic arm isn't run off of something that's connected to something else and just chokes you?
Exactly. So my own cybernetic arm, my robot arm is what kills me. But then there's still, the problem with that is that this is I guess that's one of the best scenarios of an apocalypse is that there are a bunch of survivors. It's not going to be, it's I think what would you say, like 1%?
That's what I was thinking.
You would need
in any form of an apocalypse, there's going to be those over-prepared people that knew it was coming, like the followers of this Dr. Steele guy, that are like, oh, well, we got a bunker and that shit ain't happening to us.
Right.
So when it all goes down, you have these select groups of 10 or 20 here and there that live through it.
And the primary
and that kind of
going
projects
down.
his whole, like, robots rusting and they go down and then the organic life comes back.
That is actually a neat idea. I like that. That's actually
it would happen. There would only have to be so much maintenance. Obviously, computers would start, or robots, would start rebuilding other stuff, and then that would rebuild more stuff, and the technology would get to a point where it's kind of limited, because that's where the human aspect of everything comes in, is we have something that robots and computers don't, and that's an imagination.
So an imagination's not programmable?
I don't think an imagination is programmable, because that is a human attribute that helps us progress through life. That's why we have the thing that you and I are doing right now.
But your brain
because somebody imagined it.
Your brain is
not a
pretty much a computer, though. I mean, your brain is pretty much a computer, though. I mean,
absolutely.
You run so many calculations throughout your subconscious. While you're sleeping,
they say
the
average
primary
person
aspect.
uses like 8 to 12% or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
What about the ones that use more?
Right. Well, like, dreaming itself is a form of your brain running calculations, trying to figure out problems that may not even exist. It's just running formulas, and so, with that, even in your subconscious while you're dreaming, your brain is running calculations. You're telling me, now that if this computer, is running calculations, it's trying to figure out something new. At some point, it's got to come up with answers that no one else thought of. It wasn't programmed. It was programmed to figure out what is wrong. So it visualizes, it recognizes something as an issue, and it tries to formulate a solution. That alone gives the computer, the program, the software, whatever, imagination.
To a certain point. It only gives it imagination up to the point of what the developer gave it. That's why there's a next generation of humans to go further than what that was. Computers can't do that on their own. Computers are made by man.
Well, while it's running the calculations of why it can't do that on its own, it could get to the conclusion of figuring out why it can't and resolve that solution.
The only thing it's going to come to the conclusion of is that it needs humans to get to the next level.
Only for so long. Then we're done.
Well, this is what I look at, like, with cell phones. I see these people around with the smartphones, and they're like, man, I hate this thing, and I don't understand, and blah, blah. I'm trying to tell them, your smartphone is only as smart as you.
Right.
Yeah, it might do more than you need it to do, but it's only going to do what you tell it to do. And I don't know, the look of bewilderment on their faces when I say that.
Right.
But it's a smartphone. Yeah, created by man.
That's where we have user error.
Oh, and on a little side note about that whole dreaming and the brain calculating.
Yeah.
I learned something very off topic, but I learned something today, and I wanted to share it with you.
All right, bring it up.
My father works at it's like a community for older people, but he does maintenance there.
Old folks home janitor?
One of the gentlemen that stays there, what was that?
Old folks home janitor?
No, it's not really like an old folks home.
Oh, okay.
It's like a community of several apartment buildings with different types of people. Older people.
Oh, I know where that is.
It's right on 22nd.
Yeah, I know where that is. I know.
Okay. So, there's a gentleman that's there who is blind. He was not born blind. He got something happened in his body and he went blind. Doesn't even see shadows or anything. So, my dad and his coworkers were talking about it, and it got into a bigger conversation, obviously, a deeper conversation. And they wondered, if you were born blind, how do you dream? Because people that can see, when they dream in pictures because their brain has memorized pictures that they've seen. If you were never able to see, how would you dream? If you've never seen anything.
Your pictures, I imagine, your pictures would be completely black. I mean,
no.
You would dream in audio.
Do you want to know what you dream in if you were born blind?
I've never met a blind person to tell me. Yeah, you dream in sound. It would just be audio.
You dream in only sound.
Exactly.
How freaking amazing would that be?
Well, we had the other question too, is if you were born deaf, what language do you think? You know, when I'm thinking to myself, I'm driving in the car and I'm rehashing, like, all right, I got to stop at the gas station, and all my thoughts are in English because that's what I speak. If you were born deaf,
what are they? If you were born deaf, what would you have learned?
What's your thought? Well, you would imagine.
Thanks for fucking my head real quick, man.
Well, you would imagine immediately the same scenario of if you were born blind, what would your dreams be like? Well, you would still see black, but you would still have the audio because that's what your daily activity is. Deaf person would have the hands, the sign language. So their thoughts may come across as pictures of their hands doing things. You know, that's their thought process. I would only imagine because I'm neither of those. But
you know what? Over the course of this, we need to maybe get out and actually ask people about some of these so that we can do some casts on these topics.
Yeah, I would love to hear more from, no pun intended, but if I don't know how you listen unless somebody's signing what we're saying, but I'd love to hear from our deaf listeners. No pun intended. Our blind listeners.
Well, I mean, maybe not even just our deaf listeners, but go out and find somebody who was born with that situation and learn about it and ask those questions that you and I just were asking each other, and then we can come back and talk about it. It's like homework for our podcast.
Yeah, I'm not too good with homework.
I knew that you were going to have that tone.
You know, I like the idea.
So, right, yeah. I'm sure you love the idea until there's homework.
Yeah, as soon as, I get the idea and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm going to go do something. And then it's just, I'm lost. I'm totally somewhere else. I totally lost track.
Why did you do that?
I have no idea. What was homework? I'm with the other 47 million
We're gonna
views
do a whole
watching.
episode on that song.
Yeah, and I know
it's counterproductive.
But
yeah, it's definitely counterproductive.
It is. It so much is. So,
all in all, are we both in agreement or in somewhat disagreement that this could happen?
I think that I am of the belief that we would be hopefully, I gotta put hope, so I can't believe, but hopefully we're over prepared for any next steps in our technology.
Maybe we're not, but this goes back to the whole government doesn't give us the information that we really need. The government is ready for it.
Yeah. you remember? Have you heard of Pacific Rim?
Robots of Doom.
Vaguely, I don't have enough information.
It's a movie. It's a movie that's coming out. I forget the director, and I think I mentioned it in another episode. But the idea is that all of a sudden Earth is invaded by aliens, and we're like, oh my God, aliens! We're all gonna die. And then there was like a giant robot buried in the ground somewhere that we were working on, and we take that thing out and go kill a bunch of aliens. It's like oh,
Voltron?
well, no, it's a full-sized single-piece robot, but a human is about the size
like
of
Big
the
O?
robot's ear. Yeah, like Big O, like big.
Oh.
The human is about the size of the robot's ear. Like you could have a whole crew of people.
I have a very tender
running
spot
this
in
thing.
my heart for Big O.
Yeah. Well, that was one guy. I think like a whole crew could run this thing. But, it's like, oh my God, aliens are coming, we're all gonna die. We have nothing that could possibly say. Oh yeah, well there is this giant robot that no one knows about that we've been working on.
There's Big O in the basement, bitch.
It's only 30 stories tall, walking through the ocean, blowing stuff up. I mean, yeah, no one else knew about it, but we got that somewhere,
All right, so if we do have Big O, can I be the one that yells, it's showtime?
It's showtime.
That's all I want to do.
Reminds me of
showtime.
That reminds me of the who are they? The Zip Zoolander. It's robots, and his tagline is it's laser time.
Oh
God, I can't remember the name of those robots, but man, that was a great cartoon. That was a 3D thing. Like every time he said laser time, you'd throw on the 3D shades, and you'd get this whole 3D cartoon thing.
No, I'm good, man. I'll take my Big O over laser time.
Fact.
It's a fact.
Especially if there's like an alien bombardment. I'm taking Big O and Voltron, and I'm handling business. Fuck the Power Rangers.
Yeah. They can make a robot.
Dude.
They can make a robot. It's like Voltron.
Well, yeah, then that would tie us right back to the robot problem. God damn it.
So I am under the belief or hoping that we will remain in control and make and always have the technology and robots under our thumb. Another fun little tidbit I've learned is I have no idea where it came from, but you've heard robot is equivalent to slave? Like that word robot is used somewhere else in some other languages or something?
Really?
Yes, I did come across that, and I don't have all the other info.
Well, maybe in the next podcast here, we'll jump back and give that little bit of information so that we don't look too stupid over here.
No, it's good enough that we actually heard about it.
I think our reputations are a little bit better than just hearing about something.
Yeah. So says
For the
you.
10 people that want to hear it.
If we get to 10, I'll be happy.
I'll be pretty stoked, man, if we can get to 10. But see, then we're humans, so once we're at 10, we're like, no, dude, we need 20.
Yep, of course. Gonna take it all the way.
Yeah, no, I'm down. So anybody that does listen to this, please pass it on, man. We all have a good time. And like we said before, please, please, please leave us topics.
Yes, send in the email is formatentity@gmail.com. I don't believe, Mr. Bumquist, we got anything set up for you yet, and we know how much you love the tweeters. But maybe someday we'll see @Bumquist out there or something.
Tweedledee.
But send the emails to format at gmail.com or leave comments right here on the post at thetitleiunknown.com.
Absolutely, man. We'd greatly appreciate it.
Very much. Are you ready to get out of here?
I am ready to go, man. I got to do some stuff for my daughter's birthday this weekend.
And I am flipping beat.
I am more than beat, sir.
I pulled up I got a little exit music for you.
Oh, I get exit music now?
Yeah, are you ready for that? It's yours.
I am ready.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and have a great night.
Take it easy, everybody.
really got to be.